This is a poem in a syllabus, Small Towns and the River. And this is written by, oh my God, Arunachal poet. This is written by an Arunachal poet. Name is Mamang Dai. Look at here. Mamang Dai. She is Mamang Dai. And Mamang Dai is well acclaimed present era poet from Arunachal Pradesh. She is a Sahitya Academy and Padma Shri Award winner poet. And her poetry has been selected in your syllabus. And that is the poem we have today, Small Towns and the River. Now, let us know a little bit about Mamang Dai, and then we shall go through the other things of the poem. Look at it. Mamang Dai is an Indian poet, novelist, and journalist from Arunachal Pradesh. Now, she comes from Adi tribe. Okay, Adi tribe is a tribe there in Arunachal Pradesh, which and Mamang Dai's work, it reflects the cultural and natural heritage of a region. Now, her contribution to literature, if we talk about, she has written several poetry collections, novels, non-fiction works, focusing on themes like which themes? Nature, identity, and indigenous traditions. This she worked on. What are famous works? Her famous works include river poems, and of the river poem, we have one today. Okay, river poems, then the legends of Pensam and Stupid Cupid. These are some of her famous works. She has been conferred Padma Shri in 2011, and later on, she even got Sahitya Academy Award. #1 literary award, which is given to any Indian in the sector of literature. Look at, before she was a full-time writer, she worked as a journalist, and she was the first woman of her state to be selected in IAS. Now, she cannot be called just a poet. She is an intelligent lady who cracked civil service. Cracking civil service is not so easy, right? And at the same time, she was a journalist, or upon keep it. Keep it. She was a journalist, and then she turned a full-time writer. Now, she talks about indigenous languages and cultures, especially from Northeast. Now, her poems and writings basically reflect relationships between people, nature, and passage of time, and with a deep sense of place and belonging. Now you need to understand, what is this small towns and the river talk about? A very short excerpt we have here. What is that? Small Towns and the River by Mamang Dai, it explores the intimate relationship between a small town and the natural world. particularly focusing on themes of life, death, and continuity. The poem describes poet's hometown, and it evokes a sense of permanence amidst the changing seasons. The river, personified as having a soul, symbolizes the eternal flow of life and death. So there is a river, and the river is personified having a soul, and it talks about flow of life and death. The poem reflects the rituals of life and death, the anxiety of small town life, and the hope for spiritual transcendence. It captures the serene yet poignant atmosphere of a small town where nature and human life are deeply intertwined. They're deeply connected. What themes we find in the poem? If we see the poem talks about life and death. The poem reflects on the cyclical nature of life and death, particularly in the context of small town. The repeated mention of death and the rituals surrounding it underscores the inevitability of the cycle. You need to understand what is death. Death is inevitable. Death is unpredictable. Death happens. Anybody who is born will die one day. Even the great saints, what are you doing there? Shayan, be human. Don't be a monkey. Look at. Now, you need to understand anybody who is born will have to die one day. Be it anybody. I mean, the saints who lived for many years had to die at last. Even the prophets and the incarnations of God, everybody had to die. Talk about Lord Krishna had to die. Talk about Buddha had to die. Talk about Christ had to die. Talk about Muhammad had to die. Whoever was there, God man, or God's representative prophet, or whoever it was, all had to die. And on the top, we have to understand death is unpredictable. Can anyone predict death? No one can predict death, right? Death is unpredictable. Nature versus nature and spirituality we shall find. The river is personified as a soul. Now it symbolizes that spiritual connection between natural world and human life. The river's eternal flow represents the continuity and immortality of nature. Nature revolves around a cycle. It does not end anytime. It's a cycle. From the seed, a plant grows, it becomes big, it bears fruits and flowers, and a name. What's your face and come? And we shall find how this particular nature will again start the cycle. From the seed, there will come what we call as the little plant, and again the big trees will happen, and it will continue, right? The memory and nostalgia. The shrine of happy pictures represent a cherished childhood memories. In the poem, we shall find this phrase, shrine of happy pictures. It talks about the childhood memories, highlighting the theme of nostalgia. Remember what is nostalgia? When you remember a memory or incident or a place or a person connected to past. It's called nostalgia. This particular poem even will talk about rituals and permanence. What is it? It talks about the permanence of the rituals in the face of transient nature of life and death. The rituals provide a sense of continuity and stability in small term. Now, whatever happens, rituals keep on happening. After the death, what rituals are to be done, that goes on happening. There is no end to these rituals. Change and constancy. The poem even talks about changing seasons and elements. What changes? Season changes. But does the season end? No, it continues again. It changes, but it has got constancy, continuation. The poet's hometown remains the same, symbolizing constancy amid change. The theme is mirrored as eternal flow of the river. We shall find in the poem even anxiety and the future. The poem touches the anxiety that small town experience about the future. This theme reflects the uncertainty and apprehension that comes with the past. Spiritual transcendence is also we shall find in the poem. What is there? The desire to walk with the God signifies a longing for spiritual transcendence. Walk with the gods. There is a reference in the poem we shall find. It talks about how we have longing. Longing means desire. Desire for spiritual enlightenment. The poem suggests that there is a quest for higher meaning, search or thirst for higher meaning, and connection with the divine. Even the poem will talk about cultural identity. The rituals, placement of the dead, the connection of the river reflect a cultural identity and the tradition of the poet's community. Which community does she belong to? She belongs to Adi tribe. And her Adi tribe's cultural identity, the rituals after the death, and other old traditions, it shows the community. The poem delves into how these cultural elements shape the collective consciousness of the small town. Now, if we talk about which one? Come faster. Our poem is a free verse. Remember, if I talk about the structure, our poem is a pure free verse. What is a free verse? In a free verse, we are supposed to find no rhyme scheme, stop it, stop, no rhyme scheme, no meter, no syllable, no stanza structure. So we shall not find rhyme scheme. Check once, do we have rhyme scheme in the poem? No, we don't. If there is no rhyme scheme, then of course, look at here, the poem doesn't carry syllable, meter, both. Syllable is sound force. Syllable is sound force. Suppose you are pronouncing the word small. How many sound forces you carry here? One. Right? Now, if I take another word. Suppose hometown I'm taking. How many syllables? Home, town. 1, 2. Remember, 2 syllables will make 1 meter. And our poem doesn't have specific syllable structure. I mean, fixed syllable structure, our poem doesn't have. And our poem, as there is no fixed syllable structure, there is no fixed metrical pattern. Look at, one line is big, but third line, fourth line, fifth line is small. So there cannot be specific syllable or specific metrical pattern. There is no specific syllable. There is no specific metrical pattern in the poem. And our poem doesn't have a proper stanza structure. First stanza carries 6 lines. Second stanza carries again 5 lines. Third stanza carries 5 lines. Fourth stanza carries 6 lines. Fifth stanza carries 8 lines. And next 2 stanzas are small. So fixed stanza pattern we do not have in the poem. So we have to tell that this poem is an example of rhythms. Okay. Let us understand the poem now stanza wise. First stanza, the poet tells, small towns always remind me of death. The poem opens with a somber tone, sad tone. And what does the poet has to say here? Small town reminds the poet of death, hinting a sense of stagnation or inevitable cycles of death. Now she tells, my hometown lies calmly amidst the trees. Now the poet describes that her hometown is calm and unchanged. Not many changes happen, not many disturbances, troubles, or other turmoil. The weather, it is always the same. It is calm amidst the trees. It is always the same in summer or winter, with dust flying or the wind blowing down the gorge. Now you need to understand, the poet tells whether it is summer season or it is winter season. It is the same. It is that unchanging, timeless nature. Now there is dust flying. This is an example of imagery. Wind howling, also an example of imagery. And summer or winter is an example of antithesis. How are these antitheses? They're opposite ideas put, summer and winter. Now the poet tells, small towns always remind me of death. My hometown lies where? Calmly amidst the trees. It is always the same. That means there is an unchanging quality for the town. It is always the same. In summer or winter, it is always the same. What happens? Dust flies in the town. And what happens? Wind howls. What is howling of the wind? Wind goes on making howling sound down the gorge. What is gorge here? Gorge is called narrow hill valley. It's called a gorge. Now it goes on creating howling sound down the gorge, and in the town she finds dust flying. Look at here, howling is an example of onomatopoeia. Koya, right? And look at here. There is a word calmly. You see, second line. This refers to personification of the town. And already I talked about dust flying and wind howling. These are imageries. Look at stanza 2. Stanza 2 tells, just the other day someone died. Just the other day someone died. In the dreadful silence we wept, looking at the sad wreath of tuberoses, life and death, and only rituals are covered. Look at here, the poet tells here about death. Someone died, right? And she emphasizes on the cyclical nature of life and death in small towns. She tells that in the dreadful silence, in complete silence, they did what? They wept, right? And they looked at this sad wreath of new tuberoses. And she tells that she looked at the sad wreath of tuberoses. Look at here. First, you see wreath of roses. Hello. 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 So these are the wreath of roses. And what kind of roses? In the poem, we are told about tube roses. So there had been tube roses. These are tube roses. And on the dead body, there was wreath of tube roses. So what happened? One person died, right? And just the other day, what does it symbolize? It's a natural happening. Death is a common phenomenon. In the city, in a day, how many people die? You don't know. Death is not an unnatural phenomenon. Death is a natural phenomenon which happens around us all the time. If you sit there in the crematory, you will get to hear, get to see every day death of people. Every day there are people dying, right? So other day one died, and in the dreadful silence, in the very fearful silence, we wept. Look at it, we wept is an example of alliteration. WW. And we were looking at the sad wreath of tuberoses. Now tell me, what is sad here? Tuberoses, wreath of tuberoses. Now, can it be sad? No. This is an example of personification. And then she tells life and death, only rituals are permanent. Life and death, these are cyclical in nature. Life and death undergoes the inevitability of the cycle. One who is born will die one day. Thou camest from the earth, and to the earth will you return. You will not be permanent here. We are temporary, cyclical nature thing. We take body, we play our part in this world, and then we die. This is what we are. And what is temporary? Life and death. These are temporary things. But what is permanent? Rituals are permanent. Only the rituals are permanent. So what rituals are done to the dead, that are permanent. Now for different culture, religion, community, death rituals are completely different. Death rituals are not same. Some people bury, some people burn, some people they leave it in the hill for crows and other birds to eat. Some people do preservation of the body, mummification of the body. Now it depends on which people do in what way, right? Look at stanza 3. The river has a soul. The river is having a soul. So the river has been personified as having a soul. And this opens up a spiritual dimension. This opens up a spiritual dimension. In the summer, it cuts through the land like a torrent of grief. Summertime, in the summertime, the flow of the river is compared to torrent of grief, indicating powerful and overwhelming nature. Summertime, there is a lot of water in the river. The water goes on moving in a powerful and overwhelming manner. And this passing of the water through the river in the summertime is compared with torrent of grief. So this is an example of metaphor. The river water is compared with torrent of grief. Flow of sadness, torrent of grief. And then she says, sometimes I think it holds its breath, seeking a land of fish and stars. The idea of the river holding its breath suggests moments of stillness and anticipation as it searches for mystical place, land for fish and stars. Now, sometimes, according to the poet, the river holds his breath. Holds his breath means river becomes still. Movement is not there. It is compared with holding its breath. And as if it is searching a land. What kind of land? Mystical land. Land of what? Fish and stars. As if the river holding the breath, searching a mystical land of fish and stars. Acha, I told this one metaphor. It's not metaphor. There is like written. Do you see? So correct it and change it into simile. Okay. Look at stanza 4. Again, this is refrain. You know what is refrain? A line or lines of a poem which should be repeated in consecutive or most of the stanzas bearing the main meaning of the poem. Look at here, the river has a soul. We find it in stanza 3 also. Do we find? Yes. Then look at, we shall find it again in stanza. No, in stanza 5 only, in the middle we shall find. There it is. About the soul, again there will be the talk. Now look at carefully. The river has a soul. It knows stretching past town. Now it says that river's knowledge encompasses its entire water cycle, from rain to mist, suggesting a deep intrinsic understanding of nature's continuum. It stretches past the town from the first drop of rain to dry earth and mist on the mountain tops. So, do you think different forms of water referred here? We are being told here first drop of rain, right? Then we are told here about mist on the mountain tops. Water in different forms. So how a water cycle works? You know it, I guess, right? How a water cycle works, you know it. So in a water cycle, we know water falls on the earth and then it evaporates, it goes up, then it condenses, forms cloud and precipitate, and happens rainfall and comes back again. So it is said that stretching past the town, the river goes, and from the first drop of rain to dry earth and the mist on the mountain tops, the river knows immortality of water. What is immortality of the water? Water can change form, but water can never diminish. It cannot die. Like in the science, it is told energy is always the same in this creation. It never increases, it never decreases. What happens? It changes form. In the same manner, water also changes form. It never ever goes null and void. Cycle continues till the beginning of this earth. This cycle is continuing. Wherever there is disruption in the cycle, there is no life. Take the desert. Rain cycle is not running. Life is also almost rare over there, right? So take the example of the planet Mars. No cycle of this rain, no living being over there. So what I mean is, the poet is trying to tell here, the water in the river has a soul. And that soul travels in different forms. Whether it stretches past the town, or it drops as the first drop of rain to dry earth, or it goes becoming a mist on the mountain tops, the river knows that water is immortal. The way we human beings are immortal, water is immortal. You talk about this, even connects with immortality of human soul. Remember this. Parallelly, it means immortality of human soul. We die and we take another body. We live in that body, again we die. So this cycle keeps on happening. Coming into life, dying, and taking another body, again coming into life. This is what runs always. And in the same way, rainwater also does the same thing. First, it evaporates, goes high up in the sky in the form of evaporated air, then it condenses, becomes clouds, then it precipitates, and in the form of water, again it comes down. Look at. Stanza 5. A shrine of happy pictures marks the days of childhood. Small town grow with anxiety for the future. Now, 4 full lines we have to understand. Now, their childhood memories are depicted. Shrine of happy pictures. What is shrine of happy pictures? These are called sacred collections of happy memories of the past. And shrine of happy pictures marks the days of childhood. If you're a mature man or if a mature lady, you are going to remember the beautiful past memories of life, especially childhood memories. You go on thinking about the childhood memories, be it sad, be it happy, you become sad. Doesn't matter what happens. Here comes the sense of what we call as nostalgia. Nostalgia can be out of good memories or can be out of bad memories, but whatever happens, nostalgia, good or bad, will make you sad. It doesn't let you be happy for long. So she talks about happy memories. This is shrine of happy memories, sacred collections of happy memories. And those memories are connected to the days of childhood. And small towns, they grow with anxiety for the future. Now, the poet tells the town grows with the anxiety for the future, reflects uncertainty and concern. Do you think here small towns are referred to small towns? No. Here it talks about people of small town. The people of small town, they grow with anxiety for the future. We have this anxiety all the time. What will happen in future? You are never in peace about what job will you get, what boy or girl will you get married, or what kind of life you will get, how much money will you earn, will there be peace, name, fame, and all these things. You keep on imagining these things, and without realizing that this is going to bring to you nothing but anxiety. The dead are placed pointing west. When the soul rises, it will walk into the golden east, into the house of the sun. Now she talks about the ritual tradition that happens in her place. She tells the dead being placed pointing west, and the soul will rise to the east, symbolizing journey of enlightenment to the afterlife. So dead bodies are actually placed pointing western side, and it is believed when the soul will rise from the dead body, they will rise from golden east. Why is it called golden east? Because this will give new start, new life, new start. So it tells the dead are placed pointing western side. And when the soul rises, what will happen? It will walk into the golden east. East represents new beginning and the sun's life-giving energy. And it will rise, it will walk into the golden east, into the house of sun. Sun is the source of power, energy, strength, all kinds of positivity. This is the belief of her that when somebody will die and when the soul will rise, what will happen? Look at stanza 6. In the cool bamboo, what is called cool bamboo? The cool bamboo restoring sunlight. Life matters like this. The cool bamboo and sunlight symbolize rejuvenation and importance of life. Do you think we are talked about here just bamboo? No, we are meant here bamboo grove. The cool bamboo grove, which is restored in sunlight, and life matters like this. The stanza suggests that in the moments of natural beauty and restoration, essence of life becomes evident and significant. In the cool bamboo grove, when there comes sunlight, then life restores. Life becomes active and vibrant. And then the poet indicates that life matters like this. Like this, life matters. Remember, this cool bamboo and sunlight both are imageries. Stanza 7. In small towns by the river, we all want to walk with God. Now he tells, in the small towns which are by the river, we all want one thing. What we want? Walk with God. The poem concludes with a desire. What desire? A spiritual connection desire. A desire for transcendence. As the townspeople aspire to walk with God, to be merged to be connected, to have a connection or link with God. It talks about enlightenment. The small town people have a desire, a cherish, a desire. What desire? That they all want to walk with the gods. They all want to be united with the gods. They seek higher meaning and connection with the divine in the simplicity of small town life. Small town people are more spiritual in nature. They keep on aspiring for spiritual attainment, enlightenment, connection with the divine, and this is what we find in small town people. We have here an alliteration, walk with. And walk with God, it is also an example of desire. It's a metaphor, desire for spiritual closeness and enlightenment. This is what is referred here. Here the poem ends. Who told you?